While much of the royal commentary world has spent recent weeks dissecting Montecito controversies, media disputes, and post-royal household drama, a far more significant development has quietly taken place within the British monarchy. The succession of the crown has taken another careful step forward. The Prince and Princess of Wales, Prince William and Catherine, have reportedly begun the long and deliberate process of preparing their two eldest children for future, working royal roles. In doing so, one of the most respected royal authors in modern British journalism has publicly identified a title that many royal observers have long associated with Princess Charlotte's future. According to recent reporting, Princess Charlotte may one day become Princess Royal. To understand the significance of that possibility, it is important to consider the broader landscape of the modern royal family. By almost every measure, the working royal family is smaller than it has been at any point in recent history. King Charles III continues his cancer treatment while carrying the responsibilities of the crown. Queen Camilla maintains a demanding schedule in support of her role as Queen Consort. Catherine, Princess of Wales, has returned to public life following her own cancer treatment. Meanwhile, Princess and the current Princess Royal continues to perform hundreds of engagements each year, even well into her 70s. At the same time, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has taken on an increasingly visible international role, while Prince William has emerged as the clear operational future of the monarchy. Beneath this senior generation stands the next generation of royals, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Though still young, they are gradually being introduced to the responsibilities and expectations that have shaped their lives since birth. The most significant aspect of this story concerns a title that has now entered mainstream royal reporting for the first time. Hello magazine recently highlighted reporting based on the work of Robert Hardman, widely regarded as one of the most trusted and well-connected royal authors in Britain. Among royal commentators, Robert Hardman is often viewed as one of the writers with the closest understanding of palace thinking. His book, Charles III, New King, New Court, The Inside Story, is considered by many to be one of the most authoritative accounts of the early reign of King Charles III. Because of his reputation and palace access, observers often pay close attention when Hardman discusses future royal developments. According to his analysis, Princess Charlotte could eventually be elevated to the title of Princess Royal. Within royal circles, such commentary is often interpreted as reflecting broader discussions taking place within the institution itself. The historical significance of the title should not be underestimated. The title Princess Royal is traditionally granted by the reigning monarch to his or her eldest surviving daughter. It is one of the most prestigious titles available to a female member of the royal family. The title is not hereditary and does not automatically pass to future generations. When the holder dies, the title returns to the crown and may then be granted to another eligible royal daughter at the monarch's discretion. The tradition dates back to the 17th century and has only been bestowed a limited number of times. The first Princess Royal was Mary Stuart, daughter of King Charles I, who received the title in 1642. The title was inspired by a similar honor used within the French monarchy. Over the centuries, it has been granted to a select group of royal women, including and daughter of King George II, Charlotte, daughter of King George III, Victoria, daughter of Queen Victoria, Louise, daughter of King Edward VII, Mary, daughter of King George V, and finally Princess Anne, who became Princess Royal in 1987. Each holder has played an important role within the monarchy, and the title has come to symbolize duty, service, and lifelong commitment to the crown. That is why speculation surrounding Princess Charlotte's future is attracting so much attention. If she eventually receives the title, it would represent not only a continuation of royal tradition but also a clear indication of the important role she is expected to play within the future monarchy led by her father, King William V, when that day eventually arrives. Each holder of the title Princess Royal has used it as a platform for a lifetime of public service and commitment to the monarchy. The current and seventh holder, Princess Anne, received the title in 1987 when she was already in her late 30s. The previous holder, Princess Mary, the only daughter of King George V and Queen Mary, had passed away in 1965. As a result, the title remained vacant for 22 years before it was finally bestowed upon Princess Anne. That precedent is important because it demonstrates that, in the modern era, the title is not typically granted to very young royal women. Instead, it is usually awarded to senior royals whose record of public service and contribution to the institution has already been firmly established. The lengthy gap between Princess Mary's death and Princess Anne's appointment reflects the approach taken by Queen Elizabeth II. Rather than granting the title immediately, the late Queen allowed her daughter to develop her own identity and reputation as a working royal. In 1965, Princess Anne was still a teenager and only beginning to establish her public role. By every available account, Queen Elizabeth II preferred to allow her daughter's contributions to grow naturally before recognizing them with one of the monarchy's most historic honors. By the time the title was finally conferred, Princess Anne had already become one of the most respected and hardworking members of the royal family. In that sense, the title served as recognition for decades of service already completed rather than a promotion for future work. This historical pattern is particularly important when considering the recent reporting highlighted by Hello magazine. According to commentary attributed to Robert Hardman, there may be no better role model for Princess Charlotte than her great-aunt, Princess Anne. The implication is clear. In the long term, Princess Charlotte could be prepared to follow a similar path of duty, service, and dedication to the crown. If that happens, it would not occur overnight. The preparation for such a role would likely unfold over many years, perhaps even decades. Following historical precedent, the title would not be bestowed until Princess Charlotte had established herself as a senior working royal with a proven record of public service. Another title has also emerged in discussions about the future generation of royals. That title is Duchess of Edinburgh, currently held by Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, the wife of Prince Edward, the youngest brother of King Charles III. According to some royal commentators, the title could eventually return to the crown and be reassigned to a future working royal. At present, Prince Edward's children, James, Earl of Wessex, and Lady Louise Windsor, are not widely expected to become full-time working royals. As a result, some observers believe the title may eventually become available for redistribution within the next generation of the royal family. Among the names occasionally mentioned is Princess Charlotte, although any such possibility remains highly speculative and far in the future. The broader significance of these reports lies not in immediate change, but in the signals they send. Royal observers rarely interpret stories of this nature as direct predictions. Instead, they view them as subtle indicators of how palace thinking may be evolving behind the scenes. The fact that Robert Hardman, one of Britain's most respected royal authors, has publicly connected Princess Charlotte with the title Princess Royal is therefore noteworthy. It suggests that discussions surrounding her future role within the monarchy are becoming increasingly defined. In the long view, many commentators believe Princess Charlotte is being prepared for a working royal life that closely mirrors the example set by Princess Anne over the past 5 decades. That brings us to the question of mentorship. Any future role for Princess Charlotte only makes sense when viewed alongside the guidance and example already available within the royal family. By virtually every measure, Princess Anne remains one of the most dedicated working royals of the modern era. For decades, she has consistently carried out more engagements than almost any other member of the royal family. In some years, her total number of official engagements has exceeded that of the monarch himself. Published figures show that in 2002 alone, she undertook more than 400 official engagements. Throughout her career, she has built an extensive portfolio of charitable patronages and public responsibilities. Her work has focused on veterans, education, equestrian organizations, youth services, healthcare initiatives, and numerous charitable causes. Perhaps most significantly, Princess Anne has always maintained a disciplined approach to public life. Unlike some modern royals, she has largely avoided celebrity culture and media-driven attention. Instead, she has built her reputation through consistency, duty, and service. For many royal observers, those qualities make her the ideal model for Princess Charlotte as she gradually begins preparing for the responsibilities that may one day await her. In practical terms, Princess and represents the modern blueprint for what a senior working royal can be when public service remains the central focus of life. Reports regarding the relationship between Princess and her great-niece, Princess Charlotte, have remained remarkably consistent across numerous respected royal commentators and publications. The two are widely believed to share a close bond. They reportedly share interests in ballet, sports, and many of the values associated with duty and public service. Observers often describe their relationship as a natural mentor-mentee dynamic that has developed as the Wales family has become increasingly integrated with the wider royal household. By all indications, that mentorship is unfolding in exactly the manner one would expect from Princess and herself. Quietly, steadily, without publicity or unnecessary attention. The important story is not the photographs that occasionally appear in the media. The important story is the guidance taking place behind the scenes. At present, Princess Charlotte is third in line to the throne after her father, Prince William, and her older brother, Prince George. That position means she could eventually occupy a role similar to the one Princess and has spent decades building, the role of a senior royal who supports the institution in ways that the monarch and direct heir cannot always manage alone. For many observers, Princess Anne's record in that role represents the gold standard. The fact that she appears to be involved in Princess Charlotte's early preparation may prove to be one of the most significant developments in the future of the royal family. Among the British public, Princess Anne has increasingly become one of the most admired and respected working royals. Opinion polls consistently place her among the most popular members of the royal family. What makes that popularity particularly noteworthy is that it has not been built on glamour, celebrity, or media attention. It has been built on work, year after year, decade after decade. Her reputation rests on dedication, reliability, and an unwavering commitment to public service. Many royal commentators believe that this is precisely the lesson Princess Charlotte is now learning. Not the gowns, not the headlines, not the spotlight, the work itself. There is also an important piece of biographical history that helps explain why Princess Anne is regarded as such an influential mentor. In 1974, she survived an attempted kidnapping while traveling along the Mall in central London. According to widely reported accounts, when the kidnapper demanded that she leave the vehicle, she famously responded with the words, "Not bloody likely." The phrase quickly became part of British popular culture and remains one of the defining moments in modern royal history. Her reputation for directness and independence has followed her throughout her life. She is also remembered for her famously dry sense of humor. When asked by a journalist about her hobbies, she reportedly joked that anything which did not fart or eat hay was unlikely to hold her attention for long, a reflection of her lifelong passion for horses and equestrian sport. Her achievements extend far beyond royal duties. In 1976, Princess Anne became the first member of the British royal family to compete in the Olympic Games when she represented Great Britain in equestrian events at the Montreal Olympics. Another aspect of her legacy is her approach to parenting. When given the opportunity to grant royal titles to her children, Peter Phillips and Zara Tindall, she chose not to do so. Her decision reflected a belief that they should be allowed to build their own lives with as much independence as possible, free from many of the pressures that accompany royal titles. Taken together, these details help explain why Princess Anne is now regarded by many as one of the most trusted and respected figures within the monarchy. They also help explain why Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are believed to value her guidance as their children begin preparing for future royal responsibilities. The connection between King Charles III and Princess Anne further strengthens this dynamic. Throughout their lives, the siblings have remained exceptionally close. Their relationship has been shaped by more than half a century of shared experiences inside the royal family and under the scrutiny of public life. Royal commentators frequently note that King Charles III values his sister's judgment and often seeks her advice on important family matters. She is widely viewed as one of the few people whose opinions he trusts completely. That trust now appears to be extending into the next generation. As a result, Princess Charlotte is unlikely to face the challenges of royal life without guidance. Instead, She appears to have the benefit of a mentor whose decades of service, experience, and dedication have made her one of the most respected members of the modern monarchy. At the same time, another royal story has begun attracting significant attention. According to reports carried by Fox News and attributed to royal author Christopher Anderson, Prince William may be considering taking Prince George to the FIFA World Cup in the United States. If such a visit takes place, it would be historically significant. It could mark the first occasion on which two future kings of the United Kingdom have traveled to the United States together. The proposal has generated considerable interest because Prince George is widely known to be a passionate football supporter. Royal commentators suggest that the trip would serve not only as a sporting experience, but also as an important father and son engagement, offering Prince George valuable exposure to the international responsibilities that will one day accompany his future role as king. A trip to the FIFA World Cup would not simply be a sporting excursion. It could also provide an opportunity for carefully managed diplomatic engagements and international exposure. What has attracted particular attention among royal observers is the response from Kensington Palace. When asked about reports that Prince William may take Prince George to the United States for the tournament, palace officials offered a carefully worded statement. There are no public plans at this time. Royal commentators immediately noted the significance of that wording. The statement did not say there were no plans. It simply stated that there were no public plans. In the highly precise language of royal communications, such phrasing is often interpreted as leaving options open while avoiding any formal confirmation. As a result, speculation about the trip continues. The broader context makes the possibility even more interesting. The United States is currently marking the 250th anniversary of its independence, a milestone of major historical and ceremonial significance. Earlier in the year, King Charles III completed a successful visit that many observers believe exceeded expectations. A second high-profile visit involving the Wales family would represent a substantial royal commitment to the United States within a single calendar year. At the same time, global political developments continue to influence diplomatic planning. International tensions and ongoing geopolitical concerns may affect how royal travel schedules are arranged and whether any proposed visit ultimately proceeds. The World Cup itself is also significant for reasons that extend far beyond football. Across Europe, royal families have increasingly used major international events as opportunities to introduce younger generations to public life. According to recent reports, the Dutch royal family has already indicated plans to travel to the United States during the tournament. This reflects a broader continental tradition in which future monarchs and senior royals are gradually exposed to international events from a young age. The goal is not to place them immediately under the full pressure of royal duty. Instead, it is to allow them to gain experience, confidence, and familiarity with public life in carefully controlled environments. A World Cup visit would fit perfectly within that model. The FIFA World Cup, hosted across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, is one of the largest sporting events in the world. Matches will take place in major cities throughout North America, while global television audiences are expected to reach into the billions. For a future king, the event provides a unique combination of sport, diplomacy, international visibility, and cultural engagement. For Prince George, who is widely known to be a passionate football fan, the experience would likely be both educational and personally exciting. For Prince William, it could offer an opportunity to introduce his eldest son to the scale and complexity of international public life in a setting that naturally aligns with his interests. Royal commentators have frequently noted that Prince William remains highly conscious of the media pressures he experienced during his own childhood. As a result, he has consistently adopted a cautious and measured approach to raising his children in public. The Wales family strategy has been based on gradual exposure rather than constant visibility. Public appearances are carefully selected. Media access is tightly controlled. The children's privacy remains a central priority. A World Cup trip, framed primarily as a father and son sporting experience with limited diplomatic engagements attached, would fit comfortably within that philosophy. For this reason, royal observers are expected to watch the coming months closely for any indication that the visit may move forward. Yet beneath both the Princess Charlotte story and the potential Prince George trip lies a larger question. When should the next generation of the royal family begin stepping into public life? Historically, the British approach has favored patience. Princess Anne did not begin undertaking solo royal engagements until 1969, when she was 18 years old. Similarly, King Charles III, then Prince Charles, gradually built his public profile through his teenage years before assuming more substantial responsibilities in adulthood. Prince William followed a comparable path. His early public appearances were carefully managed, with his role expanding steadily as he entered his 20s. The traditional British philosophy has long been that childhood should remain as normal as possible before the responsibilities of royal life begin to take precedence. The objective is to allow young royals the opportunity to develop their identities before the institution places its full demands upon them. Other European monarchies have sometimes taken a different approach. The Scandinavian royal families, in particular, have tended to introduce younger royals to public engagements at an earlier age. Their view is that gradual exposure helps future monarchs develop the confidence, communication skills, and institutional understanding they will eventually need. Both approaches share the same ultimate goal. The difference lies in timing. The British model emphasizes patience and delayed responsibility. The continental model favors earlier exposure and incremental learning. What appears increasingly clear is that Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are seeking a balance between those two traditions. They are gradually introducing Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis to public life, while continuing to protect their childhoods as much as possible. Whether through mentorship from Princess and carefully planned public appearances, or potentially significant experiences such as a FIFA World Cup visit, the next generation of the royal family is already beginning its preparation for the responsibilities that lie ahead. A useful comparison can be found in the Swedish royal family. Princess Estelle of Sweden, who is only slightly older than Prince George, has already begun appearing at selected official engagements alongside her grandfather, King Carl XVI Gustav, and her mother, Crown Princess Victoria. She has attended major family celebrations, state functions, and ceremonial occasions where she has interacted with distinguished guests and public figures. According to royal observers, the Swedish approach reflects a deliberate effort to familiarize future royals with public duties from an early age. Through carefully controlled appearances, Princess Estelle is gradually learning the routines and expectations of royal life. There are legitimate institutional arguments in favor of both the British and continental approaches. The traditional British model has historically allowed young royals to develop their personalities in conditions that are as close to ordinary life as possible. Given the extraordinary pressures associated with royal status, many commentators view that as a significant achievement. The continental European approach offers different advantages. Young royals who are gradually introduced to public life often reach adulthood with years of practical experience already behind them, giving them greater familiarity with official duties and public expectations. The central question facing the Wales family is which of these models is best suited to the present moment. An increasing number of royal commentators have begun suggesting that current circumstances may favor a slightly earlier introduction to public life than previous generations experienced. The reasoning is largely practical. The modern working royal family is smaller than it has been for decades. King Charles III continues to undergo cancer treatment. Catherine, Princess of Wales, has only recently returned to public duties following her own health challenges. Meanwhile, the departures and changes of recent years have reduced the number of senior royals available to carry out official engagements. As a result, the institution is managing a substantial workload with fewer working members than at almost any point in modern memory. Against that backdrop, the gradual introduction of the next generation begins to look less like a matter of tradition and more like a matter of long-term planning. However, it is important to understand what early introduction actually means. No serious commentator is suggesting that Prince George, Princess Charlotte, or Prince Louis should undertake solo royal engagements at their current ages. Nor is anyone proposing that children should be subjected to the demanding schedules carried by senior working royals. Instead, the continental model emphasizes familiarization. It involves standing alongside parents during major national celebrations, attending significant family events, and observing how public engagements operate. The child is not the focus. The experience itself is the lesson. Appearances at milestone birthdays, national commemorations, sporting events, and major ceremonial occasions allow young royals to absorb the rhythms of public life while remaining protected from its pressures. This is the type of gradual exposure that some commentators now believe may also be appropriate for the British royal family. Ultimately, the decision rests with Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Everything they have publicly demonstrated suggests they are deeply protective of their children's well-being and personal development. They have consistently rejected the level of media exposure that earlier generations often accepted as normal. For that reason, most observers believe they are unlikely to be influenced by external pressure. Nevertheless, the institutional question remains. And it is a question that royal commentators are now discussing more openly than ever before. There is also a personal dimension to the discussion. Over the years, Prince William has spoken candidly about the lessons he learned from his own childhood. In numerous interviews, he has emphasized his desire to provide his children with lives that are as normal as circumstances allow. By every indication, this is not simply a public relations message. It is a deeply held personal principle. As a result, any decision regarding Prince George, Princess Charlotte, or Prince Louis will almost certainly be guided first by their developmental needs rather than institutional convenience. If and when the next generation begins appearing more regularly in public life, observers should expect the process to be gradual, carefully managed, and designed around the children's long-term well-being. Stepping back from the individual stories reveals the broader picture. The British monarchy is currently navigating one of the most demanding periods of the modern era. The reign of King Charles III is still relatively new. The king has spent much of the past 18 months balancing public responsibilities with cancer treatment. Queen Camilla has maintained one of the busiest schedules ever undertaken by a modern queen consort. Meanwhile, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has gradually returned to public life following her own treatment, with her recent visits receiving extraordinarily positive public responses. At the same time, Prince William has launched the largest reform program in the history of the Duchy of Cornwall, including a 10-year initiative reportedly valued at £500 million and focused on affordable housing, sustainability, and environmental restoration. Princess Anne continues to maintain the highest engagement count within the royal family despite being at an age when many public figures have long since retired. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has also assumed an increasingly prominent international role in support of the monarchy. Taken together, these 6 senior royals now carry the majority of the institution's operational responsibilities. In previous generations, a much larger group of working royals shared that burden. Today, the working roster is significantly smaller. For that reason, questions surrounding the future involvement of Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis extend beyond personal family choices. They increasingly touch upon the long-term sustainability of the institution itself. The monarchy's future will ultimately depend upon how successfully the next generation is prepared for the responsibilities that one day await them. At the heart of these discussions lies a genuine tension. On one side, the institution increasingly needs the next generation to begin preparing for future responsibilities. On the other, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, remain deeply committed to ensuring that their children enjoy as normal a childhood as possible. This balance between institutional necessity and personal development is the real story underlying both the discussion of the Princess Royal title and the possibility of a future FIFA World Cup trip involving Prince George. Royal commentators are now beginning to discuss that tension more openly than ever before. There is also an important structural reason why these conversations are taking place now rather than several years ago. Before 2020, the long-term working model of the royal family was widely expected to include 2 parallel branches, the Wales family and the Sussex family. The assumption was that Prince William and Catherine would eventually share the responsibilities of public life alongside Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. 2 young couples, a growing next generation, a shared workload spread across future decades. That expectation no longer exists. The departure of the Sussexes fundamentally altered the future structure of the working royal family. In practical terms, one half of the anticipated next generation of working royals stepped away from official duties. Since then, the institution has been adapting to that reality. For several years, senior members of the royal family were able to absorb the additional responsibilities. Queen Elizabeth II continued performing public duties almost until the end of her life. King Charles III assumed the throne with an energy and work ethic that impressed many observers. Before her health challenges, Catherine, Princess of Wales, carried a significant share of the modern royal workload. In many respects, the senior generation compensated for gaps that the younger generation was not yet ready to fill. The challenge is that such an arrangement cannot continue indefinitely. King Charles III and Queen Camilla are both in their late 70s. Even someone as dedicated as Princess Anne cannot indefinitely sustain the workload of several working royals. Likewise, Prince William, despite overseeing the largest reform program in the history of the Duchy of Cornwall, cannot personally attend every event, engagement, and responsibility required of the institution. The practical reality is becoming increasingly clear. At some point, the next generation will need to begin contributing. That does not mean immediate responsibility. It does not mean childhood sacrificed to public duty. But it does mean preparation. The recent reporting surrounding Princess Charlotte, the potential FIFA World Cup trip for Prince George, and the broader discussion of mentorship and public exposure all point toward the same conclusion. The monarchy is beginning to think seriously about how the next decade will be staffed. Importantly, none of this should be interpreted as a crisis. The British monarchy has successfully navigated generational transitions many times throughout its history. From an institutional perspective, the royal family continues to perform the duties it was created to perform. The question is not whether the institution can function today. The question is how it prepares for tomorrow. Specifically, when and how should the next generation begin sharing the responsibilities carried by their parents, grandparents, and great-aunt? That is the question increasingly appearing throughout royal commentary. And it is being asked more openly now than at any point in recent memory. Stepping back, the overall picture becomes clear. One of Britain's most respected royal authors has publicly suggested that Princess Charlotte could one day inherit the title of Princess Royal. The current holder of that title, Princess Anne, appears to be playing an important role in guiding and mentoring her great-niece. At the same time, reports suggest that Prince William may be considering introducing Prince George to a major international event through a possible visit to the FIFA World Cup in the United States. The carefully worded response from Kensington Palace has ensured that speculation remains alive without confirming any plans. Meanwhile, the modern working royal family continues to operate with a smaller core group of senior royals than at almost any point in recent history. As a result, the question of when the next generation begins stepping into public life has become increasingly relevant. These are not the stories that typically dominate headlines. They lack controversy. They lack scandal. They lack the dramatic conflict that often drives media attention. Yet in the long term, they may prove to be far more important. Because the future of the monarchy will not be determined by short-term headlines. It will be shaped by the careful preparation of the next generation. The preparation of Princess Charlotte, who may one day become Princess Royal. The gradual introduction of Prince George, who may one day become king. And the steady, patient work of a royal family focused on ensuring that the institution remains strong for decades to come. Those quiet developments, unfolding largely outside the spotlight, may ultimately become the most important royal stories of this generation. The gradual introduction of the next generation to royal life has, in many respects, been planned since the day they were born. What we are witnessing now is not a sudden change, but the early stages of a process that has been carefully considered for years. Royal observers are paying close attention because, by any reasonable assessment, the story of the next generation will shape the future of the British monarchy far more than many of the headlines that dominate today's news cycle. The discussion surrounding Princess Charlotte's potential future as Princess Royal is part of that story. The possibility of Prince George accompanying Prince William to the FIFA World Cup is another part of it. And beneath both developments lies a larger institutional question. How does a modern working royal family continue to serve effectively across generations? That question has confronted every monarch, every heir, and every royal household throughout British history. The answer has always required a careful balance between tradition and adaptation, duty and family life, public responsibility and personal development. Today, King Charles III, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Princess and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, are carrying the majority of that responsibility. Tomorrow, that burden will gradually be shared by a new generation. Prince George, who may one day become king. Princess Charlotte, who may one day become Princess Royal or hold another significant role within the institution. And Prince Louis, who will undoubtedly have his own place within the evolving structure of the monarchy. The preparations taking place today may seem small. A mentorship here, a carefully managed public appearance there, a possible international trip, a gradual introduction to ceremonial duties. Yet history often shows that the most important transitions begin quietly. For that reason, many royal commentators believe these developments deserve close attention. Because the story now unfolding is not simply about individual titles, future trips, or public appearances. It is about the long-term future of the monarchy itself. The next chapter of the British royal family is already being written. And by every indication, the choices being made today will help shape the institution for decades to come. The future king, the future princess royal, and the future generation of working royals. Those are the stories that may ultimately define the British monarchy throughout the next half-century.